What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Crooked here, and today I got another Game of Thrones video for you. This is going to be a review of the third episode of Season 6, Oathbreaker. Let's get to it. Before we get started, let me just say, this was another really good episode. HBO and Game of Thrones are killing it this season, which is what we needed after some of those lackluster episodes from last season. Don't even get me started on the Sand Snakes. The episode starts where the last one ended, with Jon waking up and rising from the dead. You could see that he was visibly shocked and even scared, which is odd because you don't usually see Jon scared. He had no idea what was going on. Even Melisandre couldn't believe he was alive. Her face was priceless when she first saw him. When she asked Jon what he saw while he was dead, he told her he saw nothing. She was expecting him to see the Red God or some kind of vision. But I really don't think any religion is true in the world of Game of Thrones. George R.R. Martin, the author of the books, is an atheist. It would be surprising to me if he wrote a book with several religions, with one being true. In the next scene, Jon goes to speak to Tormund and Dolorous Edd. The dialogue with Tormund was surprisingly funny. The joke he made about Jon's pecker was out of nowhere, so that made it even better. Then Jon and Ed had a touching moment where they embraced and made a couple jokes. Then, in the scene with Sam and Gilly, we find out that they're really on the way to Hornhill, not Old Town like Gilly thought. Sam is taking her to his home, to House Tarly. I'm not quite sure why Sam thinks this is a good idea. Is he really gonna leave the woman he loves and her child with the man who threatened his life and forced him to join the Night's Watch? Hopefully they will see how much Sam has changed, and his father and brother will gain some newfound respect for him. He's grown a lot as a man and as a character since the first time we saw him in Season 1. After Sam explained his plan to Gilly, she agreed to it if he thought it was for the best. It was a sweet moment between the two of them, but that was ruined by Sam puking again. Good job, Sam. Up next we have a scene that a lot of us have been waiting for, the Tower of Joy, but as a flashback seen through the eyes of Bran. Young Ned Stark and 6 of his best bannermen in battle to the death against 2 Kingsguard, including the Lord Commander Sir Arthur Dayne. This was most certainly the best sword fight ever on Game of Thrones. Arthur Dayne easily killed 5 of Ned's bannermen. Then it was one-on-one, Ned Stark versus Arthur Dayne. Ned was holding his own. I was actually quite surprised he was moving so well, but you could tell the Lord Commander was far better than him, and it was only a matter of time before Ned would be lying on the ground with the rest of them. When it looked like Ned was getting ready to be killed, out of nowhere Howland Reed pops up and stabs Arthur Dayne in the back, dropping him to his knees. Ned then picks up his sword and finishes him off with a slice to the neck. He starts running up the stairs to try to find his sister Lyanna. Then Bran yells for him. It seems as if Ned heard Bran and he turns around, but of course he can't see anything. Bran tries to chase after him, but the three-eyed raven stops him and brings him back to reality. The scene ends before we get to see who is in the tower. Then, in the next big scene, we see Daenerys finally make it to Vaes Dothrak, where she meets the Dosh Khaleen, the group of women who are former wives of dead Khals. They inform Daenerys that she broke the rules when she left Khal Drogo's funeral pyre and didn't come to Vaes Dothrak. It is tradition and law that all Khaleesi's end up in Vaes Dothrak when their Khals die. They tell her that it is up to all the Khals to decide what to do with her. It's crazy to see how far Daenerys has fallen when she was the Queen of Meereen, and now she's having her clothes ripped off in a hut in the middle of the Dothraki Sea. We all know this won't last long, though. Dany always rises like a phoenix from the ashes, or should I say dragon? Yes, I should. I don't know why I asked. In the next scene, we see Varys intimidating one of the Harpy spies. He was kind and soft-spoken, but his words were as sharp as daggers. He was threatening her and her son, but he convinced her he would help her and her son flee from the city, along with giving them money if she tells them what she knows. It's insinuated that she told him because later we see Varys and he's got the information he needed, but we didn't see her tell him, and we didn't see her board a ship with a bag of money. This is suspect in my opinion. I think he lied to her, and as soon as she told him everything she knew, he had her killed or imprisoned. You might be thinking Varys wouldn't do that, but how do we know he wouldn't? He was just threatening her and her son a minute ago, so who knows? Up next, we get to see everyone's favorite dwarf, Tyrion. He's trying to have a conversation with Missandei and Grey Worm, but he has a hard time bonding with them or even having a civil conversation. He was quite happy once Varys showed up. This is when Varys said he found out who the leaders of the Harpy are. It's the slavers and the wise masters from the other cities that Daenerys has already conquered. I think Tyrion and Daenerys' other advisors are going to have a hard time on their hands protecting the city from the 3 other cities that want revenge. Next, we see Qyburn speaking to a group of what look like homeless children. We find out that these are some of Varys' little birds that he left behind. Now Qyburn is recruiting them to be his little birds, feeding him information and spying for the crown. I don't think this is going to work out too well for him. Varys has little birds all around the world. I don't think just because he left that the little birds would stop being loyal. He even said in the last scene that he always trusts his little birds. I think that these children are still loyal to Varys and are purposely pretending to work for Qyburn. In this scene, we also find out that Cersei is planning on having the Franken Mountain fight for her in trial by combat. Her family always falls back on trials by combat. I can't blame them though. Then next we see Cersei and Jaime barge in on a small council meeting led by their uncle Kevan Lannister. Kevan is not happy to see them. Cersei and Jaime make a stand and tell their uncle that they're not leaving, so he might as well get on with it. But this doesn't sit well with old Uncle Kevan. He and the rest of the small council get up and leave, making Cersei and Jaime look like fools. Up next, we see King Tommen being manipulated by the High Sparrow some more. This boy is ridiculous. He's king, yet he does nothing to stop this religious fanatic from taking over his kingdom. Tommen needs to just fulfill the prophecy and die already. Finally, in the next scene, we see Arya, the little assassin in training. This scene was basically a training montage. We start out seeing Arya taking beatings from the waif, but then as the scene progresses, we see Arya able to block attacks and defend herself. Then, Jaqen H'ghar leads her to the fountain that's filled with poisoned water. He tells her if she truly is no one, then she has nothing to fear. Arya drinks the water, then her eyesight returns. I'm glad she's regained her eyesight. It was starting to get old, especially her just sitting in the street as a beggar. Now she can really start training hard and become the true badass we all want her to be. I just hope she doesn't end up losing herself to become a faceless man. Next, we see Ramsay's ugly face, but at least we got to see someone talk smack to Ramsay and not be afraid of him for once. Lord Umber comes asking for help, but in return he has a gift for Ramsay. He brings him Osha the Wildling and Rickon Stark the youngest Stark. It's been a few seasons since Rickon has been on the show. He's grown a lot. This is terrible news for them. I hope Ramsay doesn't do anything to them. Hopefully Jon can get there and save them before it's too late. In the final scene of the episode, we get to see something else we've all been waiting for. Jon executing the traitors who stabbed him, including Ollie and Sir Alistair Thorne. It's been a long time coming. After they die, Jon turns around and hands his coat to Dolorous Edd and tells him he's passing the title of the Lord Commander to him, and that he's done with the Night's Watch. Then the episode ends with Jon storming out of the courtyard. His watch has ended with his death. Now he can lead the Wildlings against the Boltons to take back Winterfell and the North. Overall, I thought this was a really good episode. I know we're only 3 episodes into the season, but I'm starting to think this is going to be the best season yet. What did you guys think about this episode? Do you think that was Lyanna giving birth to Jon up in the tower? Tell me what you think in the comments. Well, that's about all I got for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.